Welcome to Cornbread and Kool-Aid podcast. My name is Demetrius. Acknowledgement always, the super producer extraordinaire, Mike Ward, the Godfather. Whew. So, week 14 of the 2023 National Football League season. The Lions are in Chicago, and I want to get cute and creative, but it's nothing really to say. 28-13 loss. I could say ugly, I could say painful, I could say a lot of stuff, but really we're going to dig into it. It's a reality check. That's the note I put out today. It is a reality check. Like we've been having fun with this for a while, talking about them being one of the top two or three teams. There was a point in time where they were in the power rankings, one or two for a lot of people. It is difficult at times to remember how it felt back when they were 5-1 before they went to Baltimore, while at the same time understanding the reality of what we watch week in and week out. So as we were watching them week in and week out, there was always this feeling, the way it felt, and the way it felt always, it's like, they might not be as good as we think they are, right? So I'm going to use a word a lot today. And if you like the show, whether you're watching it on Twitch or YouTube or Facebook or X, appreciate it. Any love is appreciated. Retweets, thumbs up, likes, hearts, whatever you're into, we'll take it. It's mostly just a podcast for Lions fans or NFL fans who like to break down NFL games. It's supposed to just be fun and therapeutic. And for me, that's what it is. Win or lose, this helps. So I'm going to use a word a lot today, a specific word or some variation. That word is sustainability. Sustainability. I'm going to use that a lot because I'm coming to a very real and clear recognition about our favorite football team. And it's tough. This is tough for me. I'm cornbread and Kool-Aid guy. I wanted to believe we were the team that I thought we were when we were 5-1, and people had us in their top 2 or 3 in the power rankings. I wanted to believe we were that team that would run the ball down your throat, punch you in the face, no matter what, we're going to get back up and scrap. I always wanted to believe that. People who know me, every year was the year. And so make no mistake, this isn't I'm giving up, I've walked away, I'm checked out. I don't have that luxury. I'm not saying I'm a better fan than anyone else. I don't have the capacity to do that. I am pissed off right now. I'm concerned, all the bad emotions now, but that's the point of this podcast. By the time I'm done, I'll feel better. By Wednesday, I'll feel good. By kickoff Saturday, I'll have them, making the NFC Championship game again. That's how cornbread and Kool-Aid works. I don't expect everybody to be me or think like me, but we're going to walk through it. And when we're done, maybe you feel the same way, maybe you don't. But I'm going to use the word sustainability or sustainable a lot, because I recognize what our team is. So we come into today without Aleem McNeil and without Frank Ragnow, amongst others. But those two guys in particular are really important. Aleem's the anchor of the defensive line, the second most important group on our team. And Frank is the anchor of the offensive line, the most important unit on our team. I might have mentioned this last week. When Frank is out, it impacts two positions because Glasgow's slide over to center. He didn't play well today. And you bring in a rookie, Sorsdahl, to play right guard. As a unit, this is the worst game the offensive line has had. That was bound to happen. They're still a top 5 unit. When they're healthy, we're very good, but they weren't today. So you're going to hear a whole bunch of sustainability. The offensive line that played today isn't sustainably good, right? We can't. Goff was under a lot of pressure. The run game wasn't as important, but I think that the sustainable piece that's really bothering me is about our staff. And this might not be popular. I don't care about being the minority. if I feel like my opinion is valid and I can support it, particularly with data, I will inform that opinion to the best of my ability, and I'll bring it to the podcast. I am most unhappy with our coordinators right now. Over and above any player, you can do your golf rant if you want. I am most unhappy with both of them. I think our leadership of this team, I think they believe the strength is the coaching staff. I think they lead from a place of, if we, the coaching staff, scheme up and call the right and do everything right, we can win games, irrespective of talent. Now, there is a conversation that I don't think I want to have today that might speak to, you don't trust your guys, right? But I don't know that that's it. I think it's much more that they think it's them, because what I don't see that worries me more than anything, it's the trust that your guys will make the plays. I could do a whole podcast on the misuse of Jameson Williams. And my brother just chimed in. I could do a whole podcast on why is Jerry Jacobs, and I want to like Jerry Jacobs. I defended him earlier in the year. Why is Jerry Jacobs still playing? I believe they think, irrespective of the talent level or the way a guy's playing, if they scheme it right, you can cover those things. And I don't. The JMO thing bothers me more than anything. I did a whole thing last week on how the misuse of JMO, right? And Chris chimes in with the Chris of Trophy Room fame, chimes in and says these are the true Lions. Now, I don't buy that. I will talk about data points. And we haven't been good the last 7 weeks. That's the truth. I didn't want to accept it, but I'm a man of data. My mind, normally, what I do for a living, whatever you want, I like data. The last 7 weeks, we're 4-3, and we should probably be 2-5. I'm gonna be honest, right? So there's concerns there, but I am really struggling with the coaching staff right now and the way they're coaching this team. I think there's talent on the field. I like golf more than most people. I know St. Brown's a good player. I believe both backs are good. I don't know, the talent on defense might be a little light, but I don't think we're being coached well. And I know that's not going to be a popular opinion, both in terms of you can't say anything about the genius Ben Johnson. I'm way past that. I don't give a damn about Ben Johnson. I am done, right? So I think on both sides of the ball, we're not being coached well. I think AG, since game one, has known an undeniable fact. I challenge anybody who's listening to tell me this is wrong. We struggle with mobile quarterbacks, right? We struggle with mobile quarterbacks. We struggled a little bit week one with Mahomes, but that's Mahomes, so you live with that. Week two, Geno came to town and gave us the business. So now, Dan Campbell likes to say, I trust AG's going to fix that. I trust AG's going to fix that. AG has not fixed that. AG has not fixed that, right? Because whether it was Lamar, Lamar played probably his best game of the year, but Fields twice, even Jordan Love, we're 1-3 in those 4 games, probably should be 0-4. The biggest problem we have on defense is that we can't stop mobile quarterbacks. And if we want to do anything, we're going to have to eventually get to Jalen Hurts. I don't want to see Jalen Hurts right now. I want no part of Jalen Hurts right now. He would kill us, right? So I probably have to dial back the whole concept that we're ready to play with Philly or San Francisco, right? But on defense, AG has not fixed that. I get injuries. Injuries hurt. And if you tell me you're going to get a healthy McNeil back in a couple of weeks, and you're going to get James Houston back, and Bruce Irvin's going to get in shape, and you're going to get Gardner Johnson back, the defense might be better in 3 weeks than it is now, and I buy that. Okay, cool. We can have the conversation about my favorite person in the organization, Brad Holmes, right? When everybody said, go get somebody, there's good and bad to that, right? I don't know how AG is going to fix this, because every mobile quarterback we've played has given us the business. On offense, the genius Ben Johnson, and I say that as though I don't like him. I need to make it very clear. I don't love him, but I don't hate him. But I can't ignore 2 3-quarter stretches of really, really shitty offensive football. And if you want to be easy and just blame it on Goff, and Andy, you're right, Goff's not mobile, but Goff's never been mobile. We've always known Goff's not mobile. I don't go into a game thinking I need Jared Goff's mobility to win us a football game. I never think that. I never expect that. That's just never going to happen, right? The thing is, how many times did they throw the ball more than 15 yards today? I feel like none. The interception near the end, right? How do you have, unless I'm missing something about JMO, how the misuse of JMO is killing me, because I don't think it's just have him run a fly and throw it deep. Although I would do that 3 times a game on principle, right? I think Ben Johnson is overcoaching, overcalling games. He believes he's a genius now, and it's up to him with trickery and no. You're right, Andy. A couple steps would help, right? But I don't wake up thinking Jared Goff's going to give me any of that. I need Jared Goff to protect the football, which he didn't do today. I need him to make smart decisions and smart throws. That's all I want from him. But if the coordinator is calling games that constantly put him into 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 12, the defense knows what to do there, right? It is. Sorry, I got distracted. My friend Brian still is predicting a Bengals Lions Super Bowl. I see you, Brian. I see you, but I don't think so. So let your players make plays. That's the one thing that no matter what kind of flack Stafford used to get, people would say, oh, sometimes he just chucks it up and lets Calvin saves him. I used to think that's brilliant. Yeah. If I'm Matthew Stafford and I go through progression 1 and 2 and I don't see anything, I feel like it's a really good call to chuck the ball up and let Calvin go get it. Why? Because my dude is better than your dude. I believe my dude is better than your dude. And then when you trust, he would always talk about Calvin with the word trust. Now, Goff has a bit of that with St. Brown, but I don't think Ben Johnson has that with JMO. And maybe JMO's not doing the things in practice where he deserves it. I don't know, even if just for the sake, and I am kind of hot today, I think the coaches lost this game. I do. I blame the coaching staff again. This team isn't better than the Lions. We know that. But the use of JMO is fireable. Art wanted to fire AG last week. I want to fire Ben Johnson this week. Let him go get another job somewhere. I don't give a shit anymore. He's a genius. Somebody's going to make him a head coach. Congratulations. Good job. Fine. The last 7 games, right? And I don't think they've had it. He's called a great game since Tampa, right? He had moments against the Chargers, right? He had moments against Green Bay when they scrambled back and got. I don't think Ben Johnson's called a great game since Tampa, week 6. And my biggest point there is you can't go stretches of 2 or 3 quarters, particularly coming out in the second half. That's just really starting to piss me off, right? And this isn't just about they lost today. It's not that. I'm looking at really the last 7 weeks, so 8 weeks, 7 games. That's what I'm using as my data points, my frame of reference now, is how this team has played on both sides of the ball. We cannot stop mobile quarterbacks, and we don't use our weapons well on offense. And Goff's got to play better. I get it. I'm still about re-signing Goff. I still think he's my quarterback. There's contributions from everywhere. And I'm even open to Brad Holmes failed at the trade deadline. It's tough for me because I just think Brad Holmes does that job really well. But okay, I buy it. You know, but taking what the other team gives you and not challenging your players to go make plays is a weak-minded way to conduct your business. It's not how you lead. I don't think that's leadership. So, but if you want to play the game today of one person whose fault it is, one guy, to me, it's Ben Johnson. And if you got other people, cool, I get it. To me, it's Ben Johnson today. And I don't blame Art for, I think a couple weeks ago, he blamed AG for Thanksgiving. I think Art blames AG for everything. I'm kidding, Art. AG deserves some of the criticism. Today, I think it was Ben Johnson. And they're going to call him a genius for some trick play or running Laporta at fullback. What the? All right. So today, I'm gonna talk a little bit. Hold on. You know what I think? I'm totally rabbit holing right now. The Lions, if you ever took a Greek mythology class, there's a story of this dude, Icarus, right? And you've probably heard the saying, right? Icarus and his dad were like in prison or held captive by King Minos, right? So his dad built them wings out of feathers and wax so they could escape Crete, right? And his dad told him, hey, Icarus, You can't fly too close to the sun. Shit's made of weather, feathers, and wax. Don't fly too close to the sun. And if you heard that saying, that's what it's from. And Icarus ignored his father, flew way too close to the sun, and the wax and feathers melted. He fell down into the ocean and died, right? Predictably. The lions have been flying too close to the sun for the better part of 2 months, right? And they represent that to me. They didn't listen to their dad, and they fell for the better part of 2 months. And what does that mean in terms of the Lions? It's 3 things. I harped on one last week. Discipline. Simple stuff like Derek Barnes crashing down on a run play, right? Only so Fields could run right around him and pick up 10 yards. Yeah. So Danny, you have a good point. Danny makes the point of replacing players, right? Put in Bridgewater if you don't like Goff. Put in Peoples-Jones. I am of the opinion that whoever Jerry Jacobs' backup was should have played a lot more today. And I think he did. I think he's a guy who just got brought up. But discipline, crashing down on run plays against mobile quarterbacks. Stop it. Penalties. Glasgow crappy snap on the extra point or the exchange. And I don't know who to blame. I don't get to look at all 22s. That might have been Goff. You should not have those types of plays. Penalties like false starts. False start is a discipline penalty, right? Other penalties, discipline, penalties, and of course, turnovers. Turnovers are the number one stat. You lose a turnover battle 3-0, you lose that football game. You give it up 3 times and they don't turn it over, you lose that football game. Today wasn't hard to figure out. It's not rocket science. You turn it over 3 times and you're going to lose that game. And my brother makes a good point. I'm hyped as hell right now, but once you start the playoffs, everybody's undefeated. You got to go win. So that's silver lining guy, who is never silver lining guy, by the way. That's my job in this brother relationship, but somehow he's being silver lining guy today. But Kenny, there's a lot to clean up. There's a lot to clean up. The lack of discipline today, I put on coaches. The penalties are players' execution. Turnovers just lose you games. I don't know who to blame turnovers for. I don't know, right? Turnovers lose you games. So to me, those 3 things, the discipline in outside contained against mobile quarterbacks has killed us and will continue to kill us. The turnovers will lose you games. And to me, dumb penalties hurt. You get a tripping penalty on Glasgow, who didn't have a good game. That's a 10-yard penalty on second out. You killed that drive. You effectively killed that drive with a tripping penalty. I get it. You got beat. Goff was going to get sacked. But that's a personal foul. That's 15. The sack would have been 7. I get it. Maybe you don't get called for it. That kind of stuff loses you football games. The defensive holding and pass interference, and those are discipline penalties that cost you games. Today they had 8 penalties minus 59 yards. The yards don't seem like a lot. Those were costly penalties. The 3 turnovers I talked about. And more than just the 3 today. In this data group I'm talking about, they have 14 turnovers. And it's really not all 7. 4 games, 14 turnovers. That is a habit. That is a bad habit. And all they're going to say today, I didn't even bother listening to post game. He's going to say AG will fix the stuff. He will probably say AG called a good game. I don't know. AG is going to fix it, right? Nobody's going to say Ben Johnson called a shitty game except me. And I'll get criticized. I don't care. Some guy on Twitter will tell me I don't know football because Ben Johnson is great and we're lucky to have him and he's going to be gone next year. Fine. I'm at a point where I'm like, you can find somebody who can call games where you don't go 2.5 quarters without a fucking first down, right? You can do that. I'm not going to sit here and say I can do that. There are guys out there who can do it because they don't lack talent. There were teams where I said they're just not good. You can go back to some of my Matt Patricia podcasts 4 years ago when I said we don't have the talent. The term I would use is talent deficient. They have talent now, but the way Ben Johnson calls games is not sustainable. We're not going to beat good teams playing the way Ben Johnson calls games. We have to take chances. We have to take shots. We have to give our players an opportunity to show they're better than the other guys. And if it turns out we're not, cool. I think fans, good fans, we can live with that. We can live with that. But when you have, I don't criticize Hutch. Hutch just balls out too much. But when Hutch jumps off sides on 4th down, gives him a free play, and Jerry Jacobs just watches DJ Moore run past him, I don't know why Jerry Jacobs was in the game at that point. And this is not me saying Jerry Jacobs is a bum. That's what Kenny says. Jerry Jacobs had a bad game. And if you were a baseball manager and your pitcher gave up 6 runs in the first inning, you take his ass out. That's how it is. That's how it happens. You take a guy out, and there's no shame in that. And I wouldn't even bother if Goff's playing poorly. That's why you signed Teddy Bridgewater, to Danny's point earlier. Sometimes for that game, it's okay. And you bring him back the next game. Today was a game where I do not think AG called a great game. I think the only pressure we got was on blitzes, despite the fact that Hutch played well. Kaminsky played a great game, by the way. So there are guys who played well. But I think, from the Icarus perspective, Thanksgiving should have been, my wings are melted, I'm falling to the ocean. But it wasn't, because they escaped New Orleans and then they come back with this effort today. And if we don't see like one hell of an effort Saturday night, I don't know. But I'm at a point now where I'm accepting we're not great. I still think we're good. But if I just look at the last 7, we're 4-3. You can make a case that we should be 2-5. And it's concerning because the things that need to be fixed are not being fixed. They're just not, right? So in terms of like the game, self-inflicted stuff, Glasgow's tripping penalty, like I said, killed that drive. You can't do that. You can't get to Fields and not wrap him up and then let him scramble for 12, 15 yards. AG's got to fix that. I know that's what they're going to say, right? They had 4 first quarter penalties, including that nonsense at the end of the quarter where you've got to know if the clock's going to run out. And that's probably a bad call. The rest probably blew that, but you can't do that, right? Gibbs had a huge drop in the game that I think he might have went a long way, could have changed the complexion of the game. It was early though, right? But all that stuff in the game, you still weren't seeing any pressure when they only rushed 4, right? I think Hutch gave you a spark when it was like 10-6 in the second quarter, dominated a single drive, he and Kaminsky. That should have given you momentum. And then you come out in the second half. And I don't know what that is. You guys can tell me. I am convinced it's Ben Johnson, right? I don't understand. I think their first 4 possessions of the second half, and somebody will correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was 3 and out, fumble on the snap, turnover on downs. That's 4 possessions you just gave away. Against a team whose defense isn't that good. In any world, you probably should have put up 14, 17, 21 points on those 4 possessions because they weren't stopping you. You beat yourself. And on that 4th down, when Jacobs gives up the touchdown, AG loves the zone. Why the hell are you playing man up Jerry Jacobs against DJ Moore? That's on AG. I don't even blame Jacobs because I don't particularly think Jerry Jacobs was that great. I don't think he's a bum like Kenny. I think he's an NFL player. Every NFL player is talented. But that call where I guess they were going to blitz, Hutch jumps offside, so it doesn't matter. But you've got Jerry Jacobs, who has not had a good day. We all have been watching. As much as you like to play zone, why are you? It's 4th and 13, I think. Why are you not in a zone? Probably just rush 4, contain the outside, don't let him scramble, have a linebacker spying. And I'm not a DC. I'm not trying to be one. I think that one play, any reasonable fan, any reasonable, knowledgeable football person, if you asked him, think I should lock up Jerry Jacobs one-on-one against DJ Moore on 4th and 13? I think you get a whole bunch of no's. So I don't get that. And we can yell at Jacobs. Jerry Jacobs is who he is. He's out there playing hard. He's doing the best he can, the best his abilities allow. His coordinator put him in a shitty situation. And that's how I feel about it. Yeah, I think, and on the same way, they had a 4th and 1 running play, and Ben Johnson caused like a stretch play. It might have been some kind of pulling, long developing play that was never going to work. It took too long to develop, and it went lateral. Why is David Montgomery not running directly into the line of scrimmage on 4th and 1? Again, easy for me to do in hindsight. I think I'm the smartest guy in the room. I'm going to outcoach everybody and trick everybody. And that's the kind of shit Ben Johnson does. And I know Chuck doesn't want me to say anything bad about anybody last name Johnson. Sorry, cuz. Sorry, I'm gonna need you to tune out because I'm just getting started on that dude. Uh, no, I don't. He had a bad day. I blame him for the game. Now, some guys played well. I thought nice to see John Kaminsky play well. I like Josh Reynolds more than most. I think Josh Reynolds catches the football when it's thrown to him. He makes big plays. But I think, again, his coordinator is not using him well. Like everybody else in the offense, not named Laporta and Gibbs. I don't get it. I don't. Anybody in the comments, tell me why there aren't 5 JMO calls in every game. I don't care about the score. I don't care about the weather. I don't care about any of that. Why are there not automatically 5 Jameson Williams plays in every game? There should be. St. Brown will get his. Laporta will get his. I don't get it. You go out of your way and get Jahmyr Gibbs the ball in all kinds of situations. You can do it. Now, if you just want to sit me down and say, JMO doesn't work hard, I don't care. I don't care. JMO's got something that nobody else on that roster has. Next level speed. There's nobody else on that roster that can run as fast as him. There are guys who say they can. I'm sorry. And even if you don't complete those passes, you give Denver something they got to worry about Wednesday afternoon in the defensive meetings. That's valuable enough for me. Denver's got to think about it. Denver's got to strategize for it. I like Josh Reynolds. I think Jalen Reeves-Maybin has had back-to-back consecutive games, special teams and at linebacker. So I don't know how this guy woke up, but maybe he's an example of someone who got a chance and he's just playing well. And he's always been great on special teams, but he's playing solid linebacker as well. So I don't really, this one's tough for me because I have this real simple fundamental philosophy. Sometimes you get beat or beaten, if I want to use real correct English. Sometimes you lose. When the Lions get beat, I don't struggle. I've done podcasts. Go back to the Matt Patricia podcast. The other team was simply better, or the other team played better on that day. The Green Bay loss on Thanksgiving bothered me a lot, but actually Green Bay played better. We self-inflicted wounds. We gave them every chance to win, but Green Bay executed. They got beat on Thanksgiving. They got beat in Baltimore. The Seattle game back in week 2, they lost that game. They turned the ball over. They couldn't get off the field on third down. Today they lost. I don't think highly of the Bears. Congratulations, you won the game. I don't think highly of the Bears. Today the Lions turned the ball over 3 times. They made a whole bunch of dumb, undisciplined plays. They committed a bunch of dumb penalties. And the one thing that we know they suck at, they continue to suck at, which is mobile quarterbacks. That's on AG. That's on Dan Campbell. They don't utilize JMO. They didn't truly do anything on offense. The offense today was as stagnant as ever. But everybody's going to talk about Ben Johnson getting a head coaching job all week. And I'm going to be pissed. It's going to piss me off. But whatever. I'm going to do a couple of Twitter questions. And that game was bad, right? We all saw it. We know what it was. All right. So give me a few of those. All right. Let's start with seeing how much trouble they're having getting pressure. Why do you not scrutinize Holmes's mistakes more, like Broderick Martin, Levi Onwuzurike, and Josh Pascal? Fair question, Jeff99 or Jeff989. Fair question. The answer is simple. I love Brad Holmes, number one. I'll be honest. I think also there's a reality to drafting that you're just not going to hit on every pick. I mean, if you want to tell me the guy who hits on every pick, great. His top 4 drafted players this past year contribute. Branch, Laporta, Campbell, and Gibbs all play significant roles in this 9-4 football team. And I don't want to just stop there. A 4th-round pick in St. Brown playing well. A 6th-round linebacker in Rodriguez started at linebacker last year and does a lot this year. Penei Sewell is obviously Penei Sewell. You can't argue that one, right? I think Aleem McNeil, did he draft Aleem? I think he drafted Aleem, yeah. I think Aleem McNeil is playing really good football. So I would say to you, you can't get them all right. I think his record is better than most. If you wanted to call it a hit rate or whatever you want to call it on his draft picks, you think about guys like Chase Lucas who are on the team. I think he drafted Kirby Joseph. I think you go down the line, he hits way more than he misses, right? And that's important because the draft dictates everything. The salary cap stays healthy when you draft well. That's just you look at the players in their first 4 years on their rookie contracts. contributing. Look at the number of Brad Holmes drafted players on this roster that are playing key roles, right? Because you can't just go out and do everything some dude posts on Twitter. Every time a decent, generally old player who used to be a name gets released, some dude on Twitter, Brad, we must sign this guy. Brad, we must sign this guy. And that's great at a high level fan thing. It's interesting. But if you do some diligence, there's a number of reasons why you can't operate like that, right? Some of it is like, I don't think Shaquille Leonard is the Shaquille Leonard from 4 years ago. But when he got released, everybody go get Shaquille Leonard. Well, Shaquille Leonard doesn't fit what we do, like schematically. What he does well is not what we need in linebackers, right? But everybody was all over that. 3 years ago, he was a great player, which is why he wasn't on the market 3 years ago. But now he's like 30, 32, something. Not that he's old and not that he's not any good. He's a better fit in Philadelphia than he was here. And I don't know that he ever considered coming here, because there is the part that a free agent gets to decide where he wants to go. So we don't have control of where Brad just picks up the phone and Shaquille Leonard's in Detroit. No. If he's got interest from the Eagles, the Cowboys, the Chiefs, and the Lions, yeah, there's still a degree that we're probably fourth on that list, right? Right. So I like to respond to stuff in the comments. And so my brother says, Jacobs doesn't fit our scheme, but we play him every week. Great line. Great line. And I can't argue with it. I got no comeback, bro. Sorry. But I think scheme fit is important. So every name that hits the market doesn't necessarily fit what the Lions do. And sometimes that's the thing. Sometimes that guy's just a name and you're thinking about him 3 years ago and not who he is now, because there's generally a reason he's being released. Sometimes it's money. Sometimes the team, like the Colts, are probably moving in another direction and they don't want to pay him. So that happens. But sometimes that dude's old and you're still thinking about him in his prime. But more importantly, I think like there is a cost control ability you can do. If you bring Leonard in, you're taking snaps and reps from somebody else. It might be Derek Barnes. It might be Jack Campbell. Who are you taking those reps from? You want to bring a 30 whatever old, forget Shaquille Leonard, anybody, random, recently released linebacker in because he's a name and you'll feel better as a fan. Who's he taking snaps from? Is Shaquille Leonard better than Derek Barnes right now? Not 3 years ago, right now. Is he better than Jack Campbell, or is he better than what Jack Campbell will be in 2 years when Jack Campbell develops from the reps and the snaps? Oh, and my cousin just punched me in the gut. I will not talk about Ndamukong Suh. I will not. I didn't like him when he was here before, and now I think he's old and he's a mercenary and he's just looking for somewhere where he doesn't have to go to camp. He can show up week 10 on a good team and try and win a championship. I don't think he's that good anymore. I just don't. And I think he's a bad guy. So hard pass on Ndamukong Suh, Chuck. Sorry, we got to disagree. That is about the culture and the vibe and all, which is important. But Brad Holmes got blasted for people like Chase Young and Montez Sweat, right, at the trade deadline. And I understood what people were saying, but I think you got to go below the surface level, because when Montez Sweat showed up in Chicago, you know what they did? They handed them $160 million, which they had to do. It's probably a contingent of the trade. He probably would have blocked the trade or not showed up. That secondary matrix that you have to put together when you're thinking about why do we do stuff, you have to think about impact to the salary cap. So that trade for Montez Sweat would have cost you a couple of draft picks. And if you don't think second and third round picks are any good, go look at our roster. You're wrong. So you're going to give up that draft capital. Then you got to hand him a check for $160 million, right? Okay. Is he a good player? Of course. There's no debate that Montez Sweat is good and we need pass rush help. That's one way to do it. Understand the impact. $160 million on your cap for the next 4 years, and you're giving up draft picks that could be next year or the following year contributing players. See Jack Campbell, see Sam Laporta, see St. Brown, see Brian Branch, see Malcolm Rodriguez. That's what those 2 picks are. And the $160 million. I think you have to think about that. And when your cap says, hey, Brad, guess what you got to do in the next 18 months? Your salary cap calling you on the phone. All right. You're going to sign St. Brown because he's coming up. You're going to sign Penei Sewell because he's coming up. You're going to make some tough calls on Aleem McNeil and Jonah Jackson because they're coming up. And oh yeah, 16 needs a check as well, right? Unless you think Hendon Hooker is our quarterback of the future. Not having that conversation today. But your salary cap calls you on the phone and tells you it would be great to get Montez Sweat. But when you hand him $40 million or whatever it is, when you hand him 120, 160, whatever the number was, some ridiculous number, say goodbye to Amon-Ra St. Brown or Penei Sewell or Jonah Jackson or Lee McNeil. And if you drafted those dudes and they've been in your locker room and you know they're good players and good people and they fit, you don't know all those things about Montez Sweat. You just don't. Or Chase Young for that matter. Chase Young, I think, was more of an injury thing. Chase Young doesn't stay healthy, right? You can't give up that draft capital, give up that money, and have a dude sitting in the training room. Now, it could be wrong. He might stay healthy the rest of his career. But you can't ignore the salary cap because some idiot on Twitter says, Brad, you got to sign this guy, right? I don't think Shaquille Leonard fit what we were doing. I don't think Ndamukong Suh is a good dude, and we want him in the locker room like mentoring young defensive linemen, right? And then there's a third piece that everybody just forgets. I think when Brad and Dan sit down and talk and say, look, we're not getting pressure with 4 men. How do we get better, right? And they say, wait, we got a really good pass rusher who's going to be healthy soon, right? We got Josh Pascal is coming on. We see some things we like about Josh Pascal. He's going to get better. James Houston is coming back. Bruce Irvin's out there. We can get him on a contract that won't kill our cap and get him in shape, get him up to par. And I thought for his limited action last week, he played well. That's another way you address that. You don't just go sign or make a trade, give away the farm because the salary cap's a real thing. You still have to manage it, right? So I think that it's easy to say, oh, let's criticize, but I don't not criticize Brad Holmes because I have some rule. I just don't agree, right? I think when Gardner Johnson comes back, he's going to help on the back end, which will help the front end. If we get back Houston and Irvin gets up to speed and Pascal keeps playing better and Kaminsky play like he played today, we will be better. We will get better. Irvin didn't play today. He was inactive, right? And I heard something about just a hamstring or a quad, some small injury in practice this week. And they just want him to get back into playing shape kind of thing. Although he played really well last week. Getting Gardner Johnson back will help. Right? But I think that if you're looking at adding guys, sometimes it's adding your own guys who are not there. Sometimes it's adding a better version of Josh Pascal because he's getting better, right? So you have to consider injured guys coming back. You have to consider guys playing better. And quite frankly, you need to look at the damn scheme and have AG scheme differently. All right, let me get it. What do you attribute the slow second half starts to? Wow. Another good question. I don't think it's just the second half. And Chuck, you might want to sign off now because I know where this is going. I think there are stretches. I think last week it was mid-first and mid-third where literally nothing was happening. There are long stretches of poor offense, which in a team that we all believe has talent. I think St. Brown's good. I think Montgomery and Gibbs are good. I like Josh Reynolds. I love J-Mo. We don't use him, but I love him. And I'm still a golf guy. So I don't think we lack talent. Like I said, if you go back 3-4 years ago and listen to some of those Matt Patricia podcasts I did, there was always a talk about we're just not good enough. We don't have the talent to play with. That's not the case anymore. We do have the talent. And I think this becomes about the genius. I won't say his name because I don't want to offend my cousin. But the genius OC of ours, right? It's a number of things, right? But I believe a lot of it is today, those second half possessions, like I said, 3 and out. I think 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, fumble, turnover on downs. Some ridiculous series of possessions like that. Those things impact momentum. Your defense is back on the field a lot. That's just bad. You have to get a sustained drive to give your defense a blow. You have to get a sustained drive so that you can dictate to the other team that you're here. You're here all day, right? And I think today his play calling sucked. I'm going to agree with my brother. His play calling sucked today. And I think that's my general issue. I can give you other things. My short answer would be that, right? I think they started the game today, started playing well in the second quarter. I don't think they showed up in the first quarter. So there are stretches, not just coming out of halftime, where I believe, and it might be this whole thing of we got to run the ball because we're a play action team. Okay, but why can't we attack the edges of the defense? I like jet sweeps. I don't know. I'm not an OC. I'm just talking about what I see. I think the same things plague the offense that plague the defense. Schematic things that don't put players in a position to make plays. And it's overcoaching on both sides of the ball. I don't know what AG is trying to do. I've never gotten it. I'm leaning more and more to getting on the bus with Art that we might need a new coordinator. And I'm not going to be sad if Ben Johnson leaves, right? Yeah, and so I get you, Danny. I think they believe that quarterback is Hendon Hooker. I think so. Danny's thoughts are that they need to get a young quarterback to build around. It's not Teddy Bridgewater. Now, I honestly don't agree. I think Jared Goff's 30. I think he's really good. I think you sign Jared Goff to a 3-year extension this offseason. I'm on record. I don't change that. I don't think Jared Goff's the reason they're losing football games. It's just me. I think there was a game earlier this year. He played really badly. Might have been Baltimore. I think Baltimore, they just got snowballed. He didn't play well on Thanksgiving, right? And if Hendon Hooker comes along and Hendon Hooker is the guy at Tennessee before his injury, he will take the job from Goff. And that's what I want. I don't want to give somebody the job. I think Jared Goff has earned the respect. He's earned his extension, in my opinion. Everybody doesn't agree with me, and that's fine. I think he's earned his extension. But if Hendon Hooker's that good, take the job. I don't think we're going to have Bridgewater next year because I think Hooker's going to be healthy. He will be the backup. And if Hendon Hooker should be the quarterback, they will give him every chance. But I still put a 3-year extension in front of Goff right now. I would lock that up. And if Hendon Hooker beats out Jared Goff, good, fine. I can live with that. But my data points on Jared Goff, 2.5 years in, I would put a 3-year extension in front of him. I don't, because if you can tell me some guy better than Goff that we can actually get, I'll wait. I'll wait. Are there 7 or 8 guys better? Sure. You're not getting any of them. So where's that guy that's available that we can get that's definitely better than Jared Goff? Nope. That guy's not out there, right? So my short answer is probably discipline with respect to penalties don't help. I think they come out with a laxed mindset after halftime. I think that's coaching. I think you can coach your way out of it on offense with exciting plays, taking chances, trying to take momentum, especially on the road. I think on defense, you can blitz, you can do things schematically. And I'm heavy on the coordinators today. I admit it, right? But you commit a holding penalty on 2nd down and 10. Now it's 2nd and 20. You have eliminated 40% of your playbook. The defense doesn't have to work. There's just plays you can't run on 2nd and 20. Ben Johnson will do it anyway. He'll do a dive play on 2nd and 20, right? Because he thinks it's cute. He's going to outsmart everybody. I guess I don't know. So some of it is play calling. Some of it is just guys have to get up after halftime and bring that energy. Some of it is execution. Like I said earlier, guys got to go do their jobs. I still think the play calling is too conservative. I think it's on defense. It's been the same thing all year, mobile quarterbacks. So my short answer to your question is there's a bunch of factors that result in the slow second half starts and just the lapses in general that they have. And it's not always right after halftime. They have lapses all around. All right, one more. How do you see this playing out? Oh, okay. So we're going right to the end. So with respect to what Kenny said, get to the playoffs. Everybody's 0-0. Chris thinks the Packers are somehow going to come back and win the North. Love you, bro. Not going to happen. So how does it play out? I think I'm sticking with my saying. I said the same thing for the past 5 or 6 weeks. Every week, four games left, Denver, at Minnesota, at Dallas, Minnesota at home. The Lions are playing the same team all 4 weeks. They're playing the Detroit Lions. That's it. If we want to have some fun in the playoffs, they just got to play better. And if you play better and Denver comes in here and beats you, okay, I was wrong about Denver. I don't think Denver is that good. If you lose the game because you turn the ball over 3 times and Denver beats you, that's not going to make me happy. Now, if you go to Dallas, you can go to Dallas, play a good game, and Dallas can still beat you. I'm not going to sweat that. I'll do a good podcast that day. If you go into Minnesota and play to your capabilities, I'll do that podcast no matter what the score is. But I think you're better, and I think you'll win the game. I think I gotta mention health. I can't. They need some guys back. Offensive line's huge. I need Frank to get healthy. When Frank's there, the offensive line is different. The offensive line is just different when Frank's there. So today the Bears were not better. The Bears were not better. The Lions lost today. They played a bad game and lost today. They played themselves. They lost to the Detroit Lions today. And I'm not trying to be cute or funny. Today, their opponent was the Bears, but they lost to the Lions. And that's what the last 4 weeks are about. Which Lion team shows up? Now, the reality is we might just have to accept the Lions are a good team, but not a great team. Maybe they're not in the class with Philadelphia and San Francisco. I don't know. I believe they're good enough to finish out this division, play at least one home game in the playoffs. And I don't know that I'm going to be all that disappointed if they lose in the NFC Championship game for sure. They get to the divisional round and lose, right? Don't know. Don't know how I'm going to feel about that. But they do a lot of stuff that great teams don't do. They make mistakes. They beat themselves. Great teams don't do that. So I'm not talking one seed anymore. I'm not using the word great anymore. I am not happy with Ben Johnson, as you know. I think that there's a mentality of do what they allow you to do or take what the defense gives you, and I'm done with that. Go impose your will. Make them run a safety on the Jameson side. Because if you throw it up to him 4 times a game, 2 of them things might be touchdowns. And at some point, they're going to roll a safety over. When they roll the safety over, how good can Laporta and St. Brown be? Right? If you've got to roll your safety so Jameson doesn't take the top off, but if Ben Johnson's so smart, he's not even throwing the ball to JMO. I think you got to reverse and maybe one catch today. You're not even trying. Give the guys a chance to go show you what they can do and stop trying to be smartest guy in the room. And this is not just me mad at Ben Johnson after a loss. I don't do that. Even on this podcast, which is designed to be an emotional podcast, I'm using 7 weeks of data. Guys, go back and look. Ben Johnson hasn't had a good game since Tampa. We got lucky, right? They should be 2-5 in their last 7. That's just truth from me, of all people. Stop turning the ball over. Stop beating yourselves and let your players go make plays. So to answer the question, I think, my whole thing is bad teams lose, good teams get beat, right? Baltimore beat you. I think Green Bay beat you on Thanksgiving. Today you lost. Everybody played a role. Coaching staff, players. I'll even throw some on Brad Holmes if you want me to. Right. So to your question, though. So everything's kind of changed for me. The last 7 games are my data points. And they're 4-3 in their last 7. We have seen an average football team escape a win with Chicago. Probably didn't deserve the Charger win. I don't know. That team could very easily be 2-5, and 7-6 would look a lot different than 9-4, right? 7-6 would feel. So I'm done talking about 1 seed. I don't know how I can. I can't honestly talk about 1 seed. I can't honestly talk about them in the same breath with Philly and San Francisco. Not right now. Maybe not even Dallas. But I'll be sitting on a cruise ship the night of the 30th watching that one. I don't know what's going to happen Saturday. I don't know what Denver is. I know that game is in downtown Detroit. And if the Detroit Lions come out and play their game, they should beat Denver. If they don't, they'll lose. But I live in a world of data. And the last 2 months of data say we have an average football team. And I'm dialing back from great to good, but I don't generally, as a human being, do the look back. I try and always look forward, right? There's nothing back there I can do anything about, including the game that ended an hour and a half ago. Can't do anything about it. So I'm trying to look forward to Denver. By Tuesday, I'll be good, right? I think December 30th is a big deal. I disagree with Chris. The North is still ours. I planted my flag in the North 3 or 4 weeks ago. It's not like we're about to lose every game. I think we're better than Minnesota. I think we're better than Denver. I think it's a legitimate chance we go 3-1, and and I predicted a 12-5 record, so I can't be mad if that's the way it goes. I can't continue to talk about 1 seeds and NFC championship games. Not yet. They've got to regain that for me. So the last 7 weeks, the last 7 games, 8 weeks, 7 games, they have driven me away from great to good. And they are a good team. And when they play at their level, they can look great. And I still think they can play with anybody on their best day. But the reality, they fly too close to the sun, right? They're playing too much Icarus ball right now for me. You can't fly that close to the sun. Eventually, you're going to get burned. That's the way it works. So I still think So if you want me like a record, it's tough. I can't bring myself to think they can win that game in Dallas. Dallas is playing really good football. I'm going to say they still finish 12-5. I'm going to say they certainly win a wild card weekend. I don't care who comes in. I hope it's Green Bay so we can get them back. I wouldn't care if it's Minnesota. I still think we're good enough to win both Minnesota games. And 11-6 probably wins the division, by the way. Packers aren't running the table. Let's be serious. They've been playing well lately, but come on. So you could, in theory, go 2-2 in the last 4, still win the division. I don't. I still think. I think they got work to do. I think they know it. I hope they wake up and play better. But right now, one game at a time. It's about Saturday. I'm calling for a win on Saturday, and that's as far as I'm willing to look ahead. So hey, appreciate you listening. Thank you to always the super producer, the Godfather, Mike Ward. I hope we have a better podcast to talk about next weekend. Again, hearts, likes, thumbs up, all that stuff is appreciated. I hope everybody can get over this one quick. We get a short week, so we'll be playing again Saturday. Hey, appreciate all the contributions, Kenny, Art, Chris, Danny, everybody that chimed in. Like I said, I appreciate it. Always helps the podcast when I get some different perspectives. I didn't forget you, Chuck. I see you. So have a good one, and we'll try it again next week.